Grab a cup of coffee and start your day with Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life features stories to inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Visit cyacyl.com.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for joining us today. Most spiritual seekers know that unconditional love and forgiveness is the foundation for true joy, peace, and happiness. Offering unconditional love and forgiving others may sound great in theory, but the reality is that every day we interact with people and face situations that don't always bring out the best in us. Understanding these challenges, is it really possible to love everyone? Today's guest, Michael Chase, says the answer may surprise you. Michael's a best-selling author and inspirational speaker. He's considered an expert on the subjects of kindness and positive behavior. Michael's the founder of the Kindness Center and the author of the books, The Radical Practice of Loving Everyone and Am I Being Kind? Hey, Michael, welcome back. It's great to have you here again.
Hey, thank you, Joan. It's great to be back. I think it's been a little over, it was a year and a half ago that we were talking about my first book. So, yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, Michael, your second book, The Radical Practice of Loving Everyone, it's written from a different perspective. And where did you get the idea from this book, and who is it really about?
It's the last thing I thought I was going to write. When I knew it was time to do another book, I had this idea for many years. There was a story from my grandfather, and it was in my first book, Am I Being Kind, how I ended that book. And the short version is my grandfather, my mother's father, was just this incredible guy and just a huge heart and had so many friends. And I really wanted to understand his secret to his relationships, because everywhere that we would go, people would want to hug him and they'd high-five him, and his name was Moppy. Moppy, and so everyone's like, "Yo, Moppy," and I was like, "Gramp, what do you do? How is it that?" I mean, he didn't even have. Okay, I'm talking real friends, not Facebook. He didn't have a Facebook page. So I said, how do you have all these friends in your life? And we were having this really wonderful conversation. It was just before he passed away, and I kept asking him, and he was drinking a cup of coffee. I'll never forget. He just kind of looked down, really shy, and he's like, "I don't know, Mike. All I can tell you is that I love everyone." And that was his answer. And I look back at his life, and it was truly just a consistent practice. And if you want to change the word love, you could say that, acceptance, that he accepted everyone for who they were, rather than constantly, judging them or saying, well, you should be like this, you should be like that. He just accepted everyone. And so the idea of loving everyone, I mean, that's scary, and it's big. And even, I have some really deep philosophical friends, amazing spiritual paths that they're on. And so I've met with these people, and it's like, how do you do this? And they say, I don't know, because I'm on this spiritual path, but I still think most people suck at times.
Right. Well, it's true, Michael, because it's something we all want to do. I mean, I can't imagine someone saying, I really want to hate people and I want to be miserable. We want to love people, but where do you think we're falling short? Why do you think that happens?
I think because most of us, our heart has been broken time and time again, and I think that our it's like we can get amnesia of the heart after it's been stomped on and beaten on, and you just start to build this wall. You begin to protect yourself, because especially you think about people in relationships, they just give of themselves and they put it all out there. And then they have their heart broken, so they build this wall, and they're like, okay, I'm not going to love that deeply again, because I'm probably just going to get hurt. And it's a variety of things, and it's just part of the human condition. Suffering is just, it's just built into the system for us, unfortunately. So one of the things that I've really tried to do with my work is to just kind of wake them up and remind them of how they came into this world, unconditionally loving, non-judgmental, very peaceful. But yeah, I mean, it's a stressful, unkind world at times, and it's a difficult practice to love everyone.
Now, Michael, for your book, you studied a unique I can't say person. You had a unique character. I don't even know how to refer to Molly without giving it away.
Yeah.
So who is Molly? What is Molly? And why did you take this approach?
Well, again, this is not how I thought it would unfold. I started the book, and I created a cover for the book, had it on my desk, and it was called The Radical Practice of Loving Everyone. Didn't have a subtitle yet, and I kept searching for a way to write this book about unconditional love. And I studied so many of the teachings of the Buddha and Christ, but I wanted to take it in a different direction, and it just was not happening for me. I struggled to put this all into book form, and my wife is just a huge part of everything I do. She's just amazing, and she just kept saying no to all the. She's very honest with me. All the things I would present to her, she'd be like, nope. And finally, I was like, you know what? I need to surrender. And I just went into that place and said, I'm going to just put this aside, and someday maybe I'll be ready to try again. This was last spring. That night, that very night, at 2:11, I'll never forget because I looked at the clock when it happened, at 2:11 in the morning, I was awoken by just an unforgettable French kiss that I will never forget. And no, it wasn't my wife. And as I rolled over, and I just like, what the? And it was Molly, my 50-pound, four-legged source of inspiration. It took me a few seconds. She woke me up, and she never does stuff like that. And I just, I barked at her. It's like, what are you doing? And then I just was lying there in bed. I was just petting the top of her head, and then all of a sudden it hit me. It's like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been looking for. Because who do I know that loves unconditionally, totally non-judgmental, practices, all the spiritual traits like living in the present moment, is totally in bliss, even though her life is just simple and she has like nothing, no material life. And it just kept going on and on. And I was like, this is it. I have to somehow understand how this crazy dog of mine is able to unconditionally love all.
So what did Molly teach you from observing her?
The interesting thing is that I thought it would just be, okay, I could write a little bit about she's non-judgmental because we walk down the street and a very perfectly normal, clean-cut individual could walk by us and she'll just run up and be like, hey, and just give them all this love and attention. But it could be, there are some interesting people in our town and say maybe like a drug addict or someone that doesn't appear all that safe and well put together. Doesn't matter. She'd run up, same thing, and just give them the same kind of love. And so it was little lessons like that, especially being non-judgmental. But it all started to come together in a really profound way when I began spending more time with a friend of mine who is he's been a practicing Buddhist for a very long time. And he started to show me how Molly's path, this canine path, and the way so many dogs are, that it was incredibly similar to walking the path of Buddhism and the journey toward enlightenment, which is why the subtitle of the book became A Four-Legged Approach to Enlightenment. So at first I thought I'll just write the stories, because Molly came from a very, very interesting place, and her background it wasn't easy for her. She came from horrible, horrible conditions, and then we have all these stories of crazy things that she's done, but also the unconditionally loving piece. But meeting with this friend and understanding the Buddhist path and then Molly's path, it all came together in just a way that I never even expected.
I have the first dog I've ever had in my life, and Ginger, when I was reading your book, it really hit me because there are so many times when I've said to my kids, look at this dog. No matter what happens, you can yell at her, you can knock over her food accidentally, whatever it is you could think that would anger a person. This dog, within seconds, will just run up to you and give you kisses and cuddle with you. And I have said that. So I love the approach that you took with your book. I want to take a break at this point, Michael, for this week's Good Life Tips. Stay with us for information to help you make the positive life changes that we talk about on the show. When we return, I'll continue my discussion with Michael Chase. This is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Our guest today is Michael Chase, author of the book, The Radical Practice of Loving Everyone. Michael, before break, we were talking about your dog Molly and the lessons that you've learned about unconditional love and not judging others. And how can we take these lessons that you've learned and incorporate them into our everyday lives?
Well, I think that all of us struggle, going back to judgment, all of us struggle with that. I mean, I study this stuff. I teach this to very large audiences, but I still have to work on it every single day. And one of the things that I have found is that curiosity is a very, very powerful vehicle for overcoming judgment. So curiosity, I've always said, curiosity is a cure for a judgmental mind. So when we become curious about people and try to understand them more, this is one of the lessons that kept coming back throughout the book, learning the Buddhist path. And I'm not Buddhist. I'm Buddhish. I love the teachings, and I embrace so many different philosophies. But this word of understanding that my friend John kept giving to me over and over again, he said, the more we can understand people, the more we can love them. And a big part of that understanding is understanding that everyone has a story. Everyone has been through some form of suffering throughout their life. Maybe it's a horrible divorce. Maybe it's losing a loved one. Maybe it's having an illness. But all of these things we all experience. We all have very difficult things happen. And when we can start to understand and then have compassion, because the more we understand, then the more compassion begins to come, from our hearts. Then the judgment begins to it starts to just dissolve. And when we lose that judgmental piece of our mind, there is so much peace. There's so much joy. There's so much you just feel like your true self, the way we came into this world. Because I'm quite confident that we didn't come into the world as little babies and and just start looking at everyone and go, oh, why would you wear that, and why would you drive that kind of car, and why would you date that person? And even in the way we look at ourselves, we didn't look in the mirror when we were little squishy babies, with all of our, sitting in our diaper looking disgusting fat rolls. We didn't look down at our fat rolls and go, oh my gosh, no one will ever date me. I'm disgusting, right? No, we loved ourselves and we loved other people. And of course, the human conditioning process takes over as we get older, as children and adults. But curiosity and that's a huge thing that I learned from Molly. She is curious about everyone instead of judging them. And
I think that what you just said is very important to remember. If you happen to, let's say, go to work and you have a boss that's very difficult or demanding, or, you tend to immediately think, oh, this person just hates me. But if you remember or you remind yourself that person may be going through a difficult time in life or has an issue that he or she may be dealing with, it may have nothing to do with you. If you can step back and try to have compassion and understanding of what that person's experiencing, I think you can then manage the situation and treat that person much differently. I
100% agree. Absolutely. And if you can, and that's where that curiosity piece comes in. Instead of just judging them from a distance, maybe if you just start with little questions and you get their heart to open a little bit more, and you start to know that person, beyond what you just see, just that exterior, when you can just get inside of their heart and try to understand them, that then opens your heart, and you see them in a whole different way. I mean, there are so many people that you will meet throughout life, and they, you immediately think, oh man, they're kind of a jerk, or they're cold, or they're, and we put these negative labels on them. But then, maybe later on down the road, you bump into a friend and say, oh, yeah, I know you met this person. Man, did you hear what happened to them? Did you hear, that this guy, he lost his wife in a horrible accident? Or we never really know someone's story until they're willing to share it with us. So I think that we have to just be open and it's so simple, but remember, everyone has a story. And unfortunately, in many cases, it can be a heartbreaking one.
Michael, there's so much violence in the world today. I mean, we have all these mass shootings and people are in financial pain, and there's just so much that's going on that can really cause a lot of negativity in our lives. But you say that 24 hours of kindness can change our life and the world. I mean, is this something that you challenge people to do? How can we do this, and what impact can it really make?
Well, I think that the beauty of kindness is that it's a universal language. It doesn't step on anybody's toes. You know, it doesn't matter what religion you're a part of or your belief system, what corner of the earth that you're from. Everyone can understand kindness. And as I talked about so much in my first book, it's incredibly simple. I mean, kindness creates happiness. When we're being kind to ourselves, others, and the planet, I mean, everybody wins. And so, I ask people at my lectures, I'll just stop for 60 seconds and just have them reflect and say, really think about it. Imagine your life if you woke up every single morning and you just made kindness your intention. And say, how can I be kinder to myself? How can I be just a little bit kinder to others? And then how can I be kinder to this beautiful planet that we live on? And when we start to live that way, I mean, it's the simple things. It's the little simple things of letting someone out in traffic, holding a door open, smiling at a stranger, giving that homeless person a couple of dollars instead of judging and say, oh, they're probably just going to drink it away anyway. No, just give from your heart and just know that, the universe will take care of the rest of the details. So 24 Hours of Kindness is a huge event that we do each year, where we go out on the streets and do random acts of kindness for 24 straight hours, no sleep, no breaks. But my main goal is to inspire people to make it their way of life, to just make kindness in everything that you're thinking, you're saying, and that you're doing.
The book is The Radical Practice of Loving Everyone by Michael Chase. Michael, if our listeners want more information about you and your work, where can they go?
You can visit my website, which is michaeljchase.com, or you can also type in thekindnesscenter.com.
And as always, you can visit our website, cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on our site, listen to past shows as podcasts, read the digital magazine, sign up for our mailing list, take part in the book club, and be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Twitter. Michael, in our remaining moments, what do you hope readers take away from your book?
Well, again, I mean, so much of this process of learning to love everyone, by the time I was reaching the end of the book, I started to understand how kindness, again, it went back to basic human kindness, because kindness is really love in action. And when you are being kind to someone, you are, in a spiritual sense, you are saying, I love you. And we have to stop thinking of love as just this interpersonal experience. It's just relationships, it's romance. We have to look beyond those labels and see it as this spiritual essence that it's a part of every single one of us. So practice daily acts of kindness. I always reflect on the words of the Dalai Lama. So simple yet so profound. He said, be kind whenever possible. It is always possible. And as we live from that perspective, we can see that in every single moment of our lives, we have these opportunities to be kind. And it's a choice. It's a choice that each of us can make every single day. And when we do that, when we make kindness our intention, the heart opens more, and then learning to love others and to love everyone, it just becomes a very realistic possibility. And in that spiritual sense, we truly can learn to love everyone.
Michael, thank you so much for spending time with us again. It was such a pleasure to have you back on the show, and I'm so happy that there are people like you out in the world doing this important work, making a positive impact on so many lives. So thank you for being here, and for everyone, please follow Michael's advice. It's simple, just be kind.
Thank you, Joan, very much.
This is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.